You get more rest with the guys that you're going to be playing next to, so it helps in that aspect. But I mean, Coach Munch does a good job kind of mixing us in during the week and getting us reps wherever we may need it.
All right, and it will be Matt Filer time on Sunday at Heinz Field against the Cleveland Browns. The status report for the Steelers is a simple one this week. There is just one name listed, Marcus Gilbert, who did not practice all week with an ankle injury, with a knee injury, has been ruled out for Sunday. And joining me now here on Steelers Live, a Friday edition, is Bob Labriola. And Labs, we've seen Matt Filer step in before. We've seen B.J. Finney step in before, and they handled themselves, as he said. He's had an entire week. Mike Munchak helping him get ready for that. But I want to start with you and the three names that were not on that list, guys who have missed some game time and practice time in recent weeks, even before the Steelers' bye week. That would be Morgan Burnett, L.J. Fort, and Darius Hayward-Bay.
Yeah, and the fact that they're not on the status report
at all,
right, and that they practiced all week, indicates to me, because they're veterans, that these guys will get helmets on Sunday, and it just remains to be seen how they will be used and how much they will be used on Sunday. Mike Tomlin spoke about Morgan Burnett specifically at his news conference on Tuesday and said that he wanted to see him be able to put some days of practice together back to back to back. He was able to do that, and now we'll just have to see how he fits in with the other two primary safeties who are, in my mind, Sean Davis and rookie Terrell Edmonds. So that to me is an interesting development. And you also mentioned Darius Hayward-Bay, another veteran who is, I believe, one of that the Steelers consider one of their core special teams players. And so he could kind of have an impact maybe on two fronts, certainly on special teams and possibly on offense. And so, again, I think that the Steelers think highly enough of Darius Hayward-Bay. He has shown the ability to practice at full capacity for multiple days in a row. He's not on the status report. I would expect him to be on the field as well on Sunday.
All right, in the locker room following practice today on Friday, we had a chance to catch up with Morgan Burnett. Take a listen.
No, it feels good. Body feel good, and like I said, it felt good to be back out there and now just keep everything going in the right direction.
What's your expectation for Sunday?
To go out and be accountable as a teammate and do my job to the best of my ability.
All right, and everybody who is active on Sunday against the Browns, Labs will be wearing the Steelers throwback jerseys. We had a chance to see them this past offseason. Juju Smith-Schuster was the model for them, and you might not notice direct change. They're not as crazy as maybe the Bumblebee ones per se, but
you think?
They do talk about the Steelers' rich history, and a lot of the players said they like the fact that they are just slightly different, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, and I think, when you look at what we know today as Steelers Nation, a lot of the members of Steelers Nation became fans, especially the people not from Pittsburgh. And that's what I'm really speaking about right now. The people not from Pittsburgh who consider themselves Steelers fans today likely became fans of the team during the 70s when the Steelers were the preeminent team of the decade, won 4 Super Bowl championships over a 6-season span. And, in doing Asked and Answered 3 times a week during the regular season, one of the things that Steelers fans really feel passionately about was the block numbers, which are the cornerstone, really, of the throwback jerseys from this year. And I remember it was the going into the 1997 season, Nike became the official uniform provider for the NFL, and Nike wanted to do some things to slightly moderate or change some of the team's jerseys in an effort to boost sales, because if you have for example, a Jerome Bettis jersey, I'm going back to 1997. If you have a Jerome Bettis jersey and they don't change it, Nike's not going to be able to sell any more Jerome Bettis jerseys. So they wanted to change it a little bit, and one of the things that Dan Rooney was willing to do was put the logo on the front and then the rounded numbers. Fans really, really like the block numbers. I don't know if they think that the guys who are wearing block numbers are going to start playing like the players in the 70s. I don't think it works that way, but it is a very, very popular rendition of the Steelers jersey. And, you know, if you're not going to be able to, well, the one thing, Missy, you're not going to be able to pick them out in the stands as easily as the Bumblebees, but I'm sure a lot of fans will be wearing the Steelers throwbacks on Sunday and then into the future.
All right, Labs, thanks so much for joining me today on Steelers Live. Time for a quick break. When we return, Mike Prisuta has his plays to ponder. Welcome back, everyone. Well, the Cleveland Browns are a different team than they were week one when the Steelers faced them for round one of this division matchup. Here's Mike Prisuta with his plays to ponder for round two.
Thanks, Missy. The Browns remain what they were at the start of the season, an interesting team that appears to be on the rise. There have been some significant changes, but the overall group is what you thought it was if you've been following along. Let's get to the video and show you what I'm talking about. Let's start with the Cleveland defense, which is ranked 28th overall in yards, but the Browns make splash plays, and those aren't just turnovers. This is Tampa Bay coming off its 1 yard line last Sunday, and Peyton Barber barely gets out of the end zone because of Cleveland's penetration. A couple plays later, after a penalty, they try it again, and this time Peyton Barber does not get out of the end zone. I believe we're still looking at the initial. Here's the safety right here. Look at the penetration. Look at the brown shirts playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage. These guys are capable of making game-changing plays on defense. It's going to be up to the Steelers to not allow that to happen. Now let's move on to the secondary. That's gotten a huge upgrade at cornerback, 4th overall pick, Denzel Ward. That is what a first-round cornerback looks like. Ward playing press coverage. Tries to get some contact, actually gets beat on the play, but look at him stay with it and rip the ball out. That's Deshaun Jackson, one of the best deep threats in the history of the game, and Denzel Ward just refuses to let him score. He has 3 interceptions, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery this year. Denzel Ward is a guy that the Steelers are going to have to know where he is. Last Sunday, he was wherever Deshaun Jackson went. Jackson caught 2 passes for 25 yards. I mentioned turnovers. The Browns are very good at collecting those. Here's linebacker Christian Kirksey doing the cover 2 linebacker thing. Could have been a better throw by Jameis Winston there, but Kirksey's 2nd interception in as many weeks. He had none in his life coming into this season, but everybody on Cleveland gets turnovers this year. The Browns lead the league with 20 takeaways. They had an NFL low 13 last season. The Browns lead the league at plus 10 in takeaway giveaway. They were last at minus 28 last season. Those things have changed. Another change has occurred at quarterback. It's now Baker Mayfield's team, and he knows how to find the single coverage with a mismatch. Tight end David Njoku against safety Isaiah Washington for Tampa Bay. The Browns line up trips right, which means that they're going to have Njoku in that mismatch. He's on the left side against Isaiah Johnson, I should say. And Njoku's a big body. Mayfield, he gets a clean release there from the line of scrimmage. And Njoku putting the ball on the outside shoulder where only, or Mayfield, I should say, putting the ball where only Njoku can get it. Jarvis Landry, you know all about, and here's a little look at his competitiveness. This is what became the game-tying touchdown. It's a diving catch, but watch Landry, the compete level, to stretch the ball out while he's on the ground before he gets touched. It's not exactly Antonio Brown against Baltimore, but it's a good look at how Landry will find ways to make plays. Baker Mayfield got this pass off, but the Browns have been struggling with sacks this season. Part of the problem is the 2 tackles, Desmond Harrison and Chris Hubbard, are undersized. And you can see here the Buccaneers are able to squeeze the pocket from both sides. That's Jason Pierre-Paul pushing Baker Mayfield to William Golson. Baker Mayfield has been sacked 5 times in each of the last 3 games. This might be an area the Steelers can exploit, as they did in the opener in Cleveland. Last but not least, special teams. The Browns think they have a special player in Jabril Peppers, the defensive back / return guy. This is a 32-yarder that helped set up the tying touchdown. Cleveland ran what they call double vice on this. Both of the gunners for Tampa were double teamed. It didn't work very well, but Jabril Peppers still able to make 3 guys miss on his way to that 32-yard gain. Now fast forward to overtime. They try it again. This time the blocking's a little bit better, but the execution is not. There you see Peppers get started upfield and the ball comes out. This is what happens sometimes with younger players. Jabril Peppers had a muff against the Chargers in the previous game, and then here last Sunday in overtime, he makes the type of mistake that you just can't make. But he does have explosive potential back there when he's got the ball in his hands. That's one of the reasons Cleveland drafted him. To sum it up, this is pretty much the team that we expected it to be this season. Defensively, the Browns compete by making splash plays, by turning it over and making short fields for their offense. Their offense, conversely, a lot of rookies starting and a lot of mistakes, a lot of penalties, a lot of sacks, a lot of drops, and that is making it hard for Cleveland to drive the length of the field. The Browns actually had one drive in Tampa last Sunday that covered 100 yards. It started on the Cleveland 20. It went all the way to the Tampa Bay 1, and the Browns had to overcome 3 offensive penalties to get that far. That drive ended with Baker Mayfield getting stuffed on a quarterback sneak, turned the ball over on downs. Maybe that's why Todd Haley never was much of a fan of the quarterback sneak in Pittsburgh. And those are Prisuta's plays to ponder for this week.
All right, Mike, thanks as always for joining me this Friday. That is going to do it for this edition of Steelers Live. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great weekend, everybody. Kickoff 1 p.m. at Heinz Field against the Browns on Sunday. We'll see you Monday at 4.